who shall we start with? Shall we start with? Let's start with the left midfield, shall we? That's a bit more interesting. That is left midfield. I thought this would be quite easy, but it wasn't. People voted for with only 3%. Tommy Wright, the original. Tommy Wright. Yeah,
Tommy Wright.
I thought he stood a good chance of being in that team, but no, he didn't. Unfortunately, I'd have loved him to be in this time. It'd be great. Some of them crosses he would have put in. You've got Harvey Barnes made it. So I'm a bit surprised about Harvey Barnes, but I think that's the modern day people putting Harvey Barnes in.
He's not done it yet.
Trust
me, this season's been.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Agree with this season. If there was a team of the season, yes, he would definitely be in it. He'd have to be in the Premier League team of the season, I think, this year. But an Ultimate 11, maybe not quite.
Not yet.
Let him
not yet.
Win something and get his England caps up in there. Then we got Lenny Clover. Now, I thought Lenny Clover would have been a lot higher than this. He only got 7% of the votes. I thought he would have been a lot higher. By the way, there was a few people that put some of the strikers in the left because they wanted to change the formation.
Trying to squeeze extra strikers in.
Trying to squeeze extra people in. So that's what it's not this. I mean, a few of them had extra votes in. I allowed it. I could not say no. But the winner was Steve Guppy. What a left peg he had. Steve Guppy was absolutely fantastic. That left peg. I mean, he could play at left midfield. He could play left wing back. He even I think he even played at full back, didn't he? Left back for a while, didn't he, as well, I think. But what a quality striker. The quality of the balls for the strikers, for Heskey and Collymore and Marshy and Walsh. We need him to take the corners week in, week out for us, don't we? He will not beat the first man, would he?
He was obviously Steve Guppy. By the way, this photo we've got of him, Jamie, can you see that? Didn't you love it? Those kits in the mid-90s that were ginormous. It looks like he's a kid in that.
Well, them shorts, I used to take the missus down with me a few times. And them shorts, when Neil Lennon used to play, it never used to look like he had legs, did it? His shorts were right, his socks were right up to his knees, and his bottom of his shorts were, and so it never looked like he had any legs at all. But yeah, you couldn't see kits like that. They'd slow him down nowadays, wasn't it? It's all about speed and pace, isn't it, nowadays? But Steve Guppy, what a left foot. Shame he only got one England cap, unfortunately.
I love Steve Guppy. Again, he comes right from that era of the mid-90s where we were riding as high as we ever thought we would do. But I'm probably not going to agree with Steve Guppy as left midfield, Jamie.
Oh, right. Who would you have in there?
Well, surely I would have gone for Marco Brighton. I really would have gone for Marco Brighton because I think I love his story that he was I'm going to say rejected by Villa, but he was given to us on a free transfer by Villa. And I think it just shows absolutely everything about his character, that he moved across from a club he'd been at a long time, must have felt a bit rejected, came to Leicester, won the Premier League with Leicester. He's played in the Champions League with Leicester. He never, ever, ever lets me down as a fan. He always gives you that, at least a 7 out of 10, normally an 8 out of 10, very rarely a 10 out of 10, but he's just so consistent. And again, I think he's as close to Guppy as you can get, but I just think he offers. I don't know. It's very close.
I've got some news for you, Phil. Marco Brighton makes the subs bench.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think he should do. He should at least make the subs bench.
He sneaked in there. So I was getting votes for him on the right side and on the left side, but so yeah, he sneaked in because he can play either side, can't he? He can play. Yeah. He does a job for you no matter what. So yeah, so Marco Brighton has sneaked in as the left midfielder on the subs bench. So there you go. But you've
in the ultimate 11,
got your wish.
But the ultimate 11, it's Guppy.
Yes, it's Stevie Guppy. I think that's a bit of the middle age. I mean, I would actually go for Steve Guppy. I think I went for Steve Guppy. I can't remember. I had that many names coming into me. I didn't know what. But I think I've gone for Steve Guppy, to be honest. I think just because of his crossing and the way he was able to beat people and get a yard and cross that ball in and whip it in a bit. So that's why I would have gone for Steve Guppy. But Marco Brighton, yeah, he's made the bench of the ultimate team, which I think, to get the ultimate team from 1950, when there's only 16 players to choose from, decent, yeah. In the match day squad, he is. Let's put it like that.
We'll let you get away with that one. I mean, we'll agree to disagree on left midfield, but it's either player who's a great shout for that. So, Jamie, let's move on to. Should we go to right midfield? Yeah,
right midfield. It's very easy. Very easy. This is. I'm not even going to say any runners up. It's Riyad Mahrez. Riyad Mahrez had 84% of the votes. 84%, which is a huge total. He had he got, I can't remember how many votes he got altogether, but 84, nearly enough. Everyone picked him. He was so skillful. I know his defending wasn't brilliant, but there was just that bit of spark, bit of magic that he could bring into the team that would win your games. The games against West Brom away and Chelsea at home, and in Europe as well. He did it in Europe. He wasn't doing it in the Premier League, but he was doing it in Europe. He just had that bit of skill that could win you games. Man City away when we won 3-1 and nearly won the league. It was what everyone thought we were going to win the league from there. And that goal he scored there. I think, Mahrez was the man. Although Stevie Linux did get a few votes, didn't get many votes, which being old school, I'd have liked Stevie Linux in the team. But Mahrez gets it for the skill and trickery, I think.
I mean, I love Steve Linux as well with you, Jamie, but there's no comparison, bless, with him and Riyad Mahrez. For me, and I've said it before, Riyad Mahrez is the most skillful player, the best player I've ever seen in a Leicester City shirt. I'm not going to say he's my most favourite ever player because, again, a bit of a twang of like when he left and didn't want to play for us, but I still say he was the best, most skillful ever player for Leicester City, and I still enjoy watching Man City now with watching Riyad Mahrez. Some Leicester fans are a bit bitter about it. I just love to see his skill and thought and look back and think, that in particular, the season we had him, he was absolutely amazing. And I remember being at the King Power before and seeing a big ball being passed all the way across the ground to him, and he killed it just there and then moved on with it. And I was like, I've never seen a Leicester City player ever do that before.
No, he just could.
It sounds simple, but it wasn't.
Anything that was pinged in the air, he could just bring it down like there was no tomorrow. I mean, I thought he played more than this. He played 179 games and scored 48 goals. That's nearly one in three. 1 in 3 he scored. Every third game he scored a goal, which was absolutely fantastic, I think. And he just, when we bought him, we went, Mahrez who? And he looked so lightweight, it was untrue, wasn't it?
A couple of highlights for me is there was his goal against Chelsea where he was left, he was right, defenders were falling all over, and then he bangs it in. And then there was another moment which I can't remember if it led to a goal, but he was outside the area, and there's a nice slow motion replay of it where he's doing his left and right chopping, and literally there's players just sliding in, and it's like the ultimate
Villa. It was definitely Villa. He left 4 people on the back sides. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. It's
just like the ultimate. You see of people like Lionel Messi and Ronaldo, where these players who can do that, and other players just can't get near them. And he was one of those guys. Yeah.
So Mahrez and Guppy are the 2 wingers or left midfielders, however you want to put it. So I think this team's looking really good, isn't it, Phil? So far, I think we've got a decent ultimate team here, building up nicely. This is probably the last 4 players. I think are the most important part of the team, really, aren't they? I would have thought. So we'll start with the midfielders, the 2 central midfielders. I think we'll do this as a bit of a double header as well. No, we'll do it as a double header. I'll go with some of the nearly men, shall I? Cambiasso nearly made the team. Didn't get a lot of votes. Gary Mccalley, although what Cambiasso came in for, he only had a year here, didn't he?
He only had a season. And to be fair, that season, Jamie, the first 3 or 4 months of it, he was not involved. People forget. They think of the Man United 5-3 and how he helped us in that season, but the first 3 or 4 months he couldn't get to the pace of the Premier League.
No, it wasn't until January time when he took control of it, and I think he even took control of the training according to form, which some people didn't like. Yeah, we'll say no more about that one. But very skillful player. What he won beforehand, before he came here, absolutely, it was the magic man, like he says. It was brilliant. He won everything, didn't he? For Real Madrid, everyone else, Argentina as well. It was absolutely fantastic. But no, the Great Escape season, unfortunately, doesn't make him, doesn't get into our team. Another one, a bit more of yours and mine again, Phil, Gary Mack. I thought Gary Mack would have rolled in this side, but no, even Gary McAllister didn't make this side, which I'm very surprised about. Would you had him in? It was the most skillful player one of the most skillful players I've ever seen.
Yeah, I guess Gary McAllister, very, very skillful. Also, I don't know if you're going to go on to Gary Parker as well, but they were very similar sorts of central midfielders, skillful players in there. Kevin McDonald as well, another player like that. Similar sorts of, skillful time on the ball, but neither of those 3 would make my ultimate team, to be fair.
Yeah, Gary Parker never got 1 vote at all. Didn't get a vote at all. Didn't get a vote.
Always gets a shout though for people saying, you know, how skillful he was.
Yeah, he was. And then the next two was Yuri Tillemans and Wilf. So both of them have been picked on their performances the last bit, but I still don't think it's right to have them in the team just yet. They're not quite legendary status yet, are they? To be honest.
No, again, we'll review this video maybe in a year's time, 2 years' time. And Ndidi, certainly, again, he's another one of these. I know there'll be, and Yuri Tillemans already being linked with Man United. Wilfred Ndidi will be linked again. You know, there's some big clubs around Europe who'll be looking at those as a pair and going, well, we could do with a bit of that. So I think they will
a quality
probably
pair
come
at the
in.
minute, isn't they?
Yeah, but I think quite right that they're not quite in the ultimate team yet.
No. And this man, unfortunately, he only makes the bench, this man does. Keith Weller. Keith Weller only makes the bench, unfortunately. I just caught the tail end of his career at Leicester. I think you did the same, Phil. You probably didn't see much of him, did you?
Oh, I saw Keith Weller for a couple of seasons. So again, you know.
Yeah, I can't really. I mean, I was a bit young, 6 or 7. You don't really notice them players, but Keith Weller, I've seen lots of videos of him. He played 297 games and scored 43 goals. Again, I got Keith Weller in different positions just to try and get him in the team. Some people picked him as right midfield, some people as left, but at centre midfield. And unfortunately, Keith Weller is only good enough. I can't believe I'm saying that. Keith Weller is only good enough to make the ultimate team's subs bench, unfortunately.
I mean, for me, he was a winger. I know we're talking about central midfielders at the moment. Him and Riyad Mahrez are the two I would compare the most to as skillfulest ever Leicester City players. But yeah, again, he makes a subs bench,
which is good to get in the first 16 of an ultimate team of 50 years. It's not a bad effort. I mean, some of the players you think Birch, Andy King, they got some votes, but they didn't get. James Maddison got some votes. Neil Lennon got some votes.
Well, I was going to say Neil Lennon again. I mean, I'm not going to say Robbie Savage, but Robbie Savage at the time did a great job in central midfield. So, you know, there is. We've always been quite well blessed with good midfielders.
Yeah, even I got one vote for Laurie Cunningham. You remember Laurie Cunningham that played?
I do. Again, he came in and he looked a touch of class when he played for us. He had that about him.
He only played 13 games for us, but he looked totally above our station, didn't he?
Yes,
above our pay grade. It was unbelievable. We got him. I know it was only for, like say, 13 games, but
yeah, I mean, again, you could chuck Roberto Mancini in there. The 4, 5, 6 games he played.
Couple of votes for him as well. There was,
but he came and he looked class above us. So
yeah, and well, let's do these two centre midfielders one by one, shall we? We will start with the Turkish delight, old Muzzy. Is it? He made it. He made it into there. Quality player he was, wasn't he?
Jamie, whenever we speak with ex-players, which we've done loads of over the last 18 months, which has been great. When we always say who was the most exciting, skillful player you ever played with, they normally always pick Muzzy, is it? Because a lot of players we've chatted with played with him during his period at Leicester, but he scored some wonder goals. And I think for me, he's 100% in that ultimate team. Jamie, do you agree?
Yeah, I totally agree. The wonder goals he scored against Spurs, against Leeds, what was it? Against Grimsby, the bicycle kick against Grimsby, absolutely stunning. Tuesday night, absolutely belting down, and he scores a goal like that. I mean, in his career, he played 319 games, and he scored 47 goals for us. Some wonderful figures that is for a central midfielder to score nearly 50 goals for the club, and played a lot of his time in the Premiership with us as well. So yeah, I think he deserves to be in the ultimate team. I really do, which is quality performance by him from our own little Turkish delight.
He played in the World Cup as well, didn't he?
He played in the semi-final, didn't he?
Yeah.
He played in the semi-final for Turkey. He only got about 10 minutes at the end, but he played in the semi-final of a World Cup. What more do you want, no matter how long you played for? The next one is our little French wonder, N'Golo Kante. I know he only played 40 games and he scored 1 goal, but what an influence he was in that title-winning season. I think he deserves to be in this. He made such an influence in that side, didn't he? He did so much running. He did the running for 2 people. He's absolutely brilliant.
It was so solid, and so, like you say, there was lots of jokes about how many midfielders do you need when you've got N'Golo Kante. Obviously, he's gone off to Chelsea, and he had a very good first season at Chelsea, and then has drifted out. He's back to some of his best for Chelsea, I think, more recently. And I think, again, it's tricky because he played one season, and we've just talked about Cambiasso, and he played one season, can't make it. But I think N'Golo Kante was a massive bit of the jigsaw as to why Leicester won the Premier League. So for me, I'm happy enough that he's in there with Muzzy, is it?
Oh yeah, I don't think you complain at that. You've got the creativity of Muzzy, is it? You've got the defensive nous of Kante in there, the trickery of Mahrez on the right, and Guppy on the left, putting them crosses in for whoever strikers we've got up top.